and welcome to episode 9 of the Indie Author Podcast with me, Adam Croft. Right, first of all, I'm going to get through my news of the week. You might have noticed if you're in the Indie Author Mindset Facebook group, I mentioned the fact that I have been appointed, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, but made one of the Alliance of Independent Authors Expert Advisors, which I'm very proud of. Do a lot of work with Ally and always enjoy it. I am now their publishing wide advisor, as part of a team of advisors who, Ally say, are publishing and self-publishing experts who offer trusted advice to our members. Not entirely sure what that means, but apparently if you need advice on going wide or doing things while you're wide, apparently I'm the man to speak to, which is nice. Worth mentioning at this point that if you're not already a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors, it is well worth doing so. I don't just say that because of my involvement, but because it's true. There are plenty of discounts and deals to be had. You get free title setup at Ingram Spark, which can save you, I think, in excess of $100 per book, so that immediately pays for itself. You also get discounts on courses and other products, including the Indie Author Mindset courses, access to legal representation and advice, which is crucial if you need someone to look over publishing or translation contracts, or if you have a legal query. The cost of membership is far eclipsed by the value of that particularly. You get access to vetted rights agents, an exclusive members forum, which has got some fantastic advice and a great community of authors, access to regular seminars and salons, including the fiction and non-fiction salon that I host each month with Sasha Black. I would highly recommend being a member, so if you would like to join Ally and also help support the Indie Author Mindset podcast at the same time, there is a link at indieauthormindset.com/resources. We had a request this week from David Lyons, who wanted to find out a little bit more about my book launch strategy. Now, this comes at quite a good time, actually, because I've got a book coming out in just under 2 weeks on Tuesday, February the 25th. It's my new psychological thriller called Closer to You. So this is something I'm very much in the middle of at the moment, and I feel perfectly qualified to be able to talk about. In short, my tips would be to plan well ahead of time and pick an achievable release date as soon as you can, and to let the vendors know about that, particularly if you're wide, because there might be some promotional and merchandising opportunities they can offer to you, especially if they've got 2 or 3 months notice. I would suggest getting your pre-order up as well as early as possible. I recommend doing pre-orders, especially if you're wide. The reason for that is, and Amazon doesn't do this, but the other retailers do. Say my book is out on the 25th of February, which it is. So today, as I'm recording this, it's the 11th of February. If you order my book, pre-order my book on Apple or Kobo, say today, I get a little rankings boost today. It counts as a sale against today's date. Then on the 25th, when the book is released, all of the cumulative sales in the pre-order period count again that day. So you get a nice little rankings boost on your release date. That's something that Amazon doesn't do. It only counts for the day that you actually place that pre-order. You do not get a launch day boost. So if you're Amazon only, it isn't crucial to have pre-orders. I have tested how this works numerous times over the years with my Night and Culver House series. I have tested books with no pre-order period, and I've put them live and then announced them with absolutely no preamble whatsoever. The first thing people hear of is the fact that the book is already out. I've done that. I've also done 1 week pre-order periods. I've done them that are a few weeks long, a month, 2 months, and at the end of the day, once you get about 5-6 months after the release date of your book, it seems to make absolutely no difference. If you have a longer pre-order period, then everything is kind of front-loaded, if that makes sense. So when you get to your launch date, you have more pre-orders than you would have done, but 6 months down the line, things seem to have evened out anyway. Here's what I tend to do. This might not work for everybody, but I will always send an email with a cover reveal first. There'll be a follow-up email after that, which will reveal the blurb, the product description. Then I'll let people know it's up for pre-order. I will nudge them a week later. A few days after that, I'll send them a preview snippet of an early but fairly pivotal scene in the book. And my biggest tip would be to keep nudging them. You won't bug people, but you will get extra sales. I have loads of people still buying my books after 7 or 8 emails and nudges. People forget. They're busy. When they see the first email, perhaps they're doing something else. They try to remember to pre-order the book, but they don't. They just don't get round to it. Maybe they're waiting for payday. It could be any reason whatsoever. People are busy. Keep nudging. They don't mind. If they mind that much, they'll unsubscribe. It's not a problem. I would also suggest at this stage running some Facebook ads to your mailing list subscribers, to your page members, and to your website visitors, so your warm leads. And then, when the book's out, send another email. Let them know it's out. Some people don't like to do pre-orders. They prefer to wait until the book is already there. Get some social media buzz going. Ensure it's at the forefront of their minds. Then, a few days later, once you've got some reviews up, send another email. Here's what everybody thinks of it. This is how brilliant everybody thinks this book is. Again, some people won't buy a book until it's been out for a little while, and there are some reviews there. They like to know they're getting a good book that other readers have enjoyed. That's a quick crash course. All of it is laid out in much more detail in my book, The Indie Author Checklist, which has been out now for about a year or so, I think. So have a look for The Indie Author Checklist. That goes through my launch strategy and everything that I do, from coming up with a book concept right the way through to many, many weeks and months after the launch. So I'd highly recommend you look at that. In the Indie Author Mindset Facebook group this week, Maggie James asked about pricing, and that kicked off a bit of a conversation there. She said, I have a question about pricing as I'm thinking of raising my Kindle prices. Currently I charge $3.99 in the US and £2.99 in the UK for each of my full-length novels. Yesterday I compared the prices in my genre for the top-selling psychological suspense books and arrived at an average price, which in the UK is £3.76, which made her think she can go higher. She's currently charging £2.99. She was considering raising them to perhaps £3.29 and wanted some feedback on that. I would say, as some others did in that thread, that you should always price ending in 0.99. So Maggie in this case should go up to $3.99, I would say. I'm going to raise my prices again soon. I usually see no dip in sales when I do so, but I do see an increase in revenues because of the higher royalty rates. I survey my readers every year. I do an annual reader survey, and one of the questions I ask is, what would you be willing to pay for one of my full-length novels? And most people are willing to pay more than $6 or $7 for the books. It's well worth running a survey and asking them and finding out. You would be surprised, actually. And again, related to pricing here, I would say please don't align yourself with the freebie seekers and the bargain hunters. You will shift units, but it's not good for a long-term career. It creates a race for the bottom. And these sorts of readers are never going to keep your business or your career afloat. They'll always jump ship for the latest bargain. You want to be finding the dedicated fans who are going to pay good money for your books. Extra tip, if you're in KU, a high list price doesn't change what KU readers will pay because they're borrowing the book, but it does make their borrow look like much better value. So if they're borrowing a book that's 99p to buy, or they're borrowing a book that's $5.99 to buy, the latter looks like a much better value borrow. The same goes for BookBub deals and short-term promotions. If you're at $1.99 as your standard price, you haven't got anywhere to go really. If you start at $4.99 or $5.99, you can make a huge splash if and when you do discount your book for limited time deals. Also, in the group this week, Ivy Raquel asked about new editions and ISBNs. She said, I got some feedback from my first book in the series, and now I'm thinking of changing some chapters around. I won't be changing the writing, she says, just swapping the prologue with another chapter. Does this equate to the book being a new edition and need a new ISBN? At that point, I told her I thought it did, but it's not my area of expertise, so I was going to wait for somebody who knew a bit more to jump in. And Sherelle Winters did. She said yes, that would be considered a substantial change and would be considered a new edition. So just swapping 2 chapters around counts as a new edition. It's a substantial change. It needs a whole new ISBN. This got me thinking. You guys need to make sure you're aware of what is or isn't a substantial change. And so do I. It's something that I didn't know enough about and still don't. So I'm going to do my research on that because as a writer, it is our legal responsibility to make sure you use your ISBNs correctly. On which note, that leads me, I do like a nice segue, into this week's Ninja Tip. Think carefully before buying ISBNs. Most countries have one authorised reseller of ISBNs. Here in the UK, for example, it's Nielsen. Now, there are some huge savings to be made by buying larger numbers of ISBNs. I'm talking more than 95% in savings. Here in the UK, you can pay quite a lot of money for one ISBN. If you buy 10, of course it costs more, but work out what each individual ISBN is going to be costing you. It drops massively as you buy more. So think ahead. How many books are you going to write in your life? I would say budget 5 ISBNs per book. So you've got one for your paperback, your hardback, your audiobook, plus a buffer for substantial edits to the book in the future. As we spoke about earlier on there, Ivy needed to swap 2 chapters around. That's another ISBN used up. Or perhaps future unforeseen formats. Always buy more than you need because it's cheaper. And anyone with a decent amount of experience in the publishing industry can read an ISBN. They're not just a random string of numbers. It's easy to see from the ISBN itself who the publisher is, plus the size of the block of ISBNs that particular one was bought as a part of. So your ISBN can tell a bookseller or a publishing professional whether you're a one-off author, a small press, or a major publishing house. Now, this could affect your chances of being taken seriously and even of being stocked by bricks and mortar bookstores. Well, that was this week's Indie Author Mindset Ninja Tip. Thank you very much for listening. That was the entire episode, in fact. And thank you also for your continued support. I do appreciate all of your feedback, good and bad. If you have a topic that you want me to cover, please do let me know. I'm very keen this podcast gives you exactly what you want and what you need. So if you have any questions, any topics, or anything you'd like me to cover, fire me an email at podcast@indieauthormindset.com, or you can catch me in the Indie Author Mindset Facebook group. Please do remember to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And I'll see you back here next time for episode 10. Take care. This episode of the Indie Author Mindset podcast was presented by me, Adam Croft. The theme music for this podcast is by the Caesareans. Don't forget you can claim 50% off any Indie Author Mindset course by entering the promo code podcast at the checkout. Links are in the show notes. For more great tips and guidance, join the Indie Author Mindset group on Facebook.